Hey everybody, welcome to the Fired Up with DJ show. Today we're lucky to have Jonathan Robinson, and we're talking about his book, Communication Miracles for Couples, Easy and Effective Ways to Create More Love and Less Conflict. And I don't know if you know this, Jonathan, but I was trained as a mediator for 2.5 years, and I worked in the King County courts here in Seattle, mediating disputes. And I would say this book distills what I probably learned over 3 years in grueling work in mediation. These are really, really beautiful and excellent skills that I think if you want to be happily married, that these are the skills that you have to learn. So thank you for putting this together. This is now on my recommend list for couples that are having problems. This really is very good tactical advice, I think. So thank you for putting this book together. It's a beautiful piece of work.
You're welcome. And, it's really the type of thing where everybody needs to learn how to communicate more effectively. And it's a shame that we don't learn it. We're always communicating one way or another. So for something that we're doing all the time, schools have managed to give us exactly 0 minutes of instruction on how to do it properly.
That's a really good point, because when I was reading through this book, I could, I would say, yes, I do that with my husband. Yes, I do that with my husband. And no, I don't do that with my children. It's interesting that, this is a communication skill. Even though this book is about couples, it's really about relating to other people, whether it's a person standing in the coffee line that you're having a problem with, or your sons or daughters, or your mom or dad that you're having issues with, or work associates, right? I mean, these skills can be applied anywhere. And one of the best gifts for me in taking that mediation was, in fact, I took this because I had a lot of couples saying, can you please help us? And I was like, I don't have any skills, so I'm going to take just mediation. But the best skill was the life skill that I got. It is a enduring life skill when you figure out how to do these things. And you'll just be happier. And you'll have a richer life because you'll understand other people better. That's at least what I found. Now, when I was doing research on divorce, the two most common things that people state, and this is an older report, but it's the only one I could find, was that 55% of the people were growing apart, and 53% of the people feel that they weren't able to talk together, which I think is infinitely related to these things, don't you think?
Yeah. And, what normally happens in marriages or any difficult relationship when you're having difficulty is that people blame each other.
Yes.
Or they don't have the conversation that they know would be difficult, and both of those are a loser. Never, when you blame somebody and you tell them everything wrong with them and how they're not doing this or that, do they say, my gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing me the errors of my ways so I can work on that. They never do that.
Thank you for judging me. I feel so much better about myself as a result of your condemnation and hate. Doesn't work that way. Surprise, right? And so what I thought was interesting in your book is, and this relates, I had a friend of mine who got divorced, and I said, well, my boyfriend and I are thinking about, getting married or, going down that path. We don't know what we're doing, but we're going down that path, and I would like you to write down the list of things that you wish you would have asked your, soon-to-be wife before you got married. And he listed down, no surprise, almost the exact set of questions that you have in your book, Communication Miracle for Couples, because these are critical areas that relate to your value judgment and about what you think is right, in life, and how you're supposed to behave in a couple. And I wanted to ask you quickly, how did you come up with these 12? These you call them dynamite dozen. I would call them the dirty dozen. But how did you come up with these 12 areas?
Well, as a therapist, I saw a lot of couples, and I saw what caused the problems. So it really came down to, it was always the same 12 things.
That's
and
shocking.
Usually people don't have agreements as to how to deal with those things. And when they don't deal with them, they always have to keep on dealing with them. Whereas if you come up with agreements, this is how we deal with money, or this is how we deal with sex, then you don't have to keep visiting the same old problems over and over again.
Right, but we'd rather not deal with them so they can perpetually haunt us as conversations unsaid that then result in hostility towards each other and a degradation, and why we grow apart 55% of the time, right? Okay, so here are some of the dynamite dozen. how to make money decisions, who's in control of the money, how often do we have sex, and other issues of sex such as birth control, what happens if a woman becomes pregnant, and so on, how to treat your partner when she's upset. That's a big one. That's a big one that I think is often neglected, right? How to show your partner your affection and love, another big one. When you get married, you realize that these are the big ones. Yeah. I mean, the other ones are big ones that I actually am fine with or have talked about. And I think people more know about those things commonly, but those two are uncommon. How to discipline the kids. What are the different responsibilities each parent has towards the kid? What makes a relationship truly successful? And by that, do you mean like what you define as success as a person?
What criteria are you saying that the relationship's going great or the relationship's going poorly? A lot of times men and women have totally different criteria. You know, you might ask one guy, how do you know if your relationship's going great? Well, if we're having good sex twice a week, it's going great.
Oh, brother, yeah.
You know, and the woman would say, that's not my criteria. You know, my criteria is, are we spending time talking each night? Right.
Which we're not, because we're having sex all the time. Okay. What is the proper way to listen to your partner, and how much listening is necessary? Which I think is so interesting, the last part, how much listening is necessary, like that. How to handle problems and major decisions that affect both partners. How much quality time should be spent together each day or week? How much TV watching is allowed? I thought that was another great one. How much alcohol and or drug use is allowed? And what is the most effective way to ask your partner to do things for you? So these are the Dynamite Dozen. It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. Would love your support in any way by giving me comments below, or to subscribe to the show, or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.